What's up, YouTube, and what's up, world? Welcome to Carter's Life. I'm your host, Carter. So, brought to you by Invive Clothing. Let's be clear, kids versus teachers. Do we believe that teachers lie? Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Do we believe that kids fabricate stories? Yeah, we do. But let me ask you a question. What happens when the higher ups, which is like the people above the teachers, right? The supervisors, don't investigate before they suspend a kid or expel a kid, put them in school suspension? What happens when they don't investigate? Let's just say they don't, right? A child comes to you and says, "Listen, I'm being picked on," and the teacher says, "Just go sit down. You complain too much." At what point do you get mad at the kid for taking matters into their own hands? I believe a lot of teachers get so frustrated with a kid who's always in trouble when that kid is not doing something wrong, they just blow them off, right? You got to look at what it is that a kid is coming to tell you. If a kid's coming to tell you, like, look, I'm being picked on, and you don't do anything about it, you can't be mad when a kid takes it into the matters into their own hands. You can't be mad. The only thing that the teachers know at that moment that this is a kid that's been in trouble the whole year. So they kind of want to just brush that kid to the side now. And whatever consequences that kid gets, he gets, right? That's not right. That's not right. I've seen so many cases of this in my lifetime. I've seen teachers who have favorite students. So when that student tells them something, they don't even know if it happens, right? They just they just take that kid's word for it, not knowing if that kid's lying or not, right? But then when a teacher does something wrong, when do we hold them accountable? When do you hold the teacher accountable? Teachers eat in class, teachers drink sodas in class, teachers be on their phones in class. But the moment a student does it, you want to write them up. The nerve. I say that because we lead by example. Teachers don't really understand how important it is for a kid to look at them and know they can trust in them. I'm not saying all teachers, I'm just saying some. When a kid can no longer trust in you, the person that was put in position to lead them to greatness, like such as like teaching them how to read, write, etc. And you start showing that you dislike this kid for this reason, you dislike that kid for that reason, they no longer believe in you. I've seen so much stuff happen that I'm just like, wow. So now what? You put a kid in a position where they gotta defend themselves, right? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about when a kid gets a write up. A kid falls asleep in class. You don't know if he has a medical problem or not. You're just writing him up, sticking him in ISS, right? Because you didn't do any research with the family. I blame the administration on that. Because as an administrator, my job is to find out everything I need to know about each one of my kids that comes before me. Used to have administrators that cared. We used to. In life, I'm not talking about just period. I mean like in life, at every school. Your staff can no longer sit around and get paid to do nothing. They have this thing that, remember when we were growing up kids, we get in fights, we be friends the following day. They got this thing called the stay away order, which is a joke. The stay away order is a joke because kids have short term memory. They get into it, all of a sudden they're cool outside of school. When they're back in school, they don't worry about a stay away order. Like, man, we fixed the problem on our own. The school now wants to be, well, you sign this order and it's in effect because you didn't let the kids figure it out, right? It's a joke. The school system is a joke when it comes to certain things. So let's say you let kids wear ripped jeans, colorful hair for 3 years. You bring in a new principal or whatever she is or he is, and in 1 year they're trying to instead of saying, hey, when that comes out, you can't dye your hair that color no more. School uniform says this, right? They don't. It didn't happen. Stick a kid in ISS. You don't stay in ISS till that hair color comes out. Take 2 to 3 weeks. You're gonna punish a kid for 2 to 3 weeks for that? It's a joke, right? So here goes the next phase. When you have an administrator who really doesn't know their job, right? Their job duties, right? You have to know that consequences are coming at some point. Consequences are coming. Nobody's gonna let you just bully their kid no matter your position. Well, what do you mean by that? Your child still depends on you to protect them from any harm, danger, anything. Your child still they depend on you for that. When you protect your child too much, you're complaining. Prime example. My daughter got called a fat AB. The parent was allowed to go in the classroom to shadow her kid, yet turned around was allowed to talk trash to my daughter. When I intervened and found out, all of a sudden I'm the one. Oh, let me handle it. The principal said, "Let me handle it." No, you supposed to handle it before that problem got out of control. Your teacher pointed my kid out to the parent of, well, who's the kid that was dealing with my son and get in trouble for my son got in trouble for it. Your teacher pointed my kid out to a parent. Wow, what was the safety for my kid? It's just, you know what I can tell Carter, let me handle it. Okay. So I still haven't heard how it was handled. Usually when you handle something, you follow up with the parent to let them know, like, these are the steps that we're taking. I didn't get that. Because I would have dealt with it. If you threaten my kid, say something wrong to my kid, please believe my job is to go that route with you. Because the law says I have the right to do the same kind of damage to you that you do to me. So you yelled at my kid, I got the right to yell at you, right? That's not what we're trying to teach our kids. Let me make that clear in life. You have these people in positions that don't know how to do their job. I remember when I was in school, you got expelled when you did the most. Like something like you brought like a knife to school, you stabbed somebody with a pencil. I'm talking about you poked them. I ain't talking about you just like poked them in that way. You did something outrageous to get expelled. You smoked cigarettes, because drugs wasn't a big thing back then. These kids now get suspended for sleeping in class. Oh, it's a repetitive thing. So what? I used to sleep all the time in class. I ain't never get suspended for it. I just had a bunch of homework when I got home. I ain't never get suspended for sleeping in class. What do you suspend a person for sleeping in class? Tell these kids they ain't allowed to have sodas and stuff in class, but you could turn around and have sodas in class. They got to lead by example. I used to be the employee that would just be quiet because of where I work. I don't want. No, now I'm just saying, like, no, yo, you ain't finna keep suspending my kid. Not for that, right? My daughter, I love her to death, right? My daughter, When she was getting picked on, nobody did nothing. My daughter flipped the tables on people, and then all of a sudden she's the bad kid. Like, well, what did you do all the time my daughter was getting picked on over here? Well, nobody made a report about it. Of course not. Of course not. Because you was waiting for her to flip. When she flipped, now you want to be like, your daughter's a bully. No, she's not. She's just giving back what she was getting. You feel me? We live like what do y'all think kids are gonna do? If they can't depend on the people that are put in place to protect them, eventually they gotta protect themselves, right? Teachers are sensitive now. I don't think you gotta be disrespected. No, not at all. But if you talk trash to a kid in this day and age, they're gonna talk trash back. It is what it is. I don't think it's okay. No, not at all. But I've watched teachers tell kids, you're dumb, you're not going to pass this class anyway. I had a principal tell me, an assistant principal tell me, my son is going to repeat the 8th grade. And her boss said, you don't know if that's what he's going to do. I have the final say-so on that. Her boss had to tell her that. So that tells me that she didn't have a clue what she was talking about. Try to expel my son for sleeping in class. You don't know your job. You know how many times I had to, like me, I clock out so I could talk to a teacher, a principal. I told her when I walked in, I don't got no respect for you because you're not here for these kids. Because I sit down with those same kids and I get a whole different result. Like, yo, why don't you just, if you need help with schoolwork after school, why don't you come and try to do some tutoring work? Why don't you start talking to them like regular people and stop trying to crap on them? You understand what I'm saying? These kids want to learn. That's the thing. The pandemic messed it up for a lot of things. So a lot of things people are like, yo, technically the pandemic set us a year back, right? A year and a half or so set us back, right? So these kids in their head, they're playing catch up. A lot of kids didn't learn on the laptops, the computers at home. It was hard for them. You had a lot of kids who have disabilities like dyslexia and learning, like they got to be hands-on. They didn't care though. I was told when I first started working on Work8, this is not my school. This is our school. These are our kids. So I care about our kids. I don't care if a teacher's feelings is hurt. I don't care about that. I don't care if a principal thinks they're higher than what they are. You just went to school, went in debt to get an education. You forgot how to still be civil. Not all of y'all. Some of y'all. Some of y'all principals, I think, do a wonderful job. There's principals at these schools that do a wonderful job. You just got people underneath you that don't know how to do their job. Some of them. I love the fact that our superintendent, our assistant superintendent, I love the fact that my transportation department, I love the fact that all of us, we're here for the kids. Even the CEO of the company. Even the human resource people, they're here to make sure everything is running smoothly, right? So if all these high people are making sure things are running right, and I'm the first one to say I think teachers are underpaid. I'm the first one to say that. But some of y'all should be underpaid until you prove that you should get that money. Test scores are low. Why? Because you waited too long to involve the parents. You can't wait till after the first 6 weeks the kid done failed. Now you want to call the parent. I need you to call me the first week. If it ain't looking right the first week, I need to know. What am I going to do for you in 6 weeks? What am I going to do for you in 3 months? Nothing. Nothing. And this is what happens around schools all over the world. Why do you think the Chinese kids so smart? Because they go 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They ain't no summer off. We got to catch up. We look at things that we shouldn't look at. Okay, kids got colorful hair. Is that stopping that kid from learning? No. That's probably going to make it better for that kid to learn because that kid is comfortable in their own skin. Oh, you can't wear that. Okay, I understand certain things you can't wear. Holes in your clothes, I don't think you should be wearing that. tight jeans, you shouldn't be wearing that. If it's a school uniform, you should be in it. But you got to establish those rules from day one. I love helping kids, man. I love helping kids. You know what I'm saying? That's got to be one of my biggest things. I love helping kids. I love coaching kids when I'm allowed to coach them. I love like teaching kids like the fundamentals of the game of basketball. I've helped with volleyball. I've helped with almost every sport possible, right? I love watching kids develop into what they're gonna be. It's probably one of the reasons why I stayed where I'm at for so long. What I can't stand is when you think that because you went to college and you got a degree that you can degrade these children. It's not gonna happen. It's some real good teachers, man. I mean, I met some real outstanding teachers, but it's them little few that rather complain than to come up with a solution. And it starts from the leadership. It starts from the leadership. Like I have a great group of people around me. The leaders around me, like I'm talking about in transportation only. We don't have problems. We have solutions. You might come and complain about something, but you better have a reason. You better have a way to make it better at the end of your conversation. Okay, you done told me how these kids are misbehaving, but what is the solution? You need me to come talk to them? Do you need to have one-on-one with their parent? Because it don't always require you to write a kid up on the bus, right? I'm gonna speak for what I do. I drive a school bus, right? But I don't always have to write a kid up. You know when I write a kid up? When he's put his hands on somebody else, or she put her hands on somebody else. That's when I write you up. Yelling, I ain't gonna write you up for yelling. That's petty. Even though it's distracting, but I can pull the bus over and get that under control, right? Same thing in the classroom. Same thing in the classroom. You could pause it. Yes, you're taking from the learning of somebody else just for a few seconds. Absolutely, that's wrong. But if you can stop for that few seconds, hey, you, go sit over there. You switch with them. Get over here. That's where you at from now on. I don't want to hear no noise. The next thing I hear is ISS. Not suspension. You gotta go to, but for what? Because somebody failed you by failing the mission of making sure that you could get it together. And it falls on the parents again. The kid got suspended. Okay, well, you suspended them. You know the dumbest thing I heard somebody get suspended for? This is the stupidest stuff I ever heard somebody get suspended for. You've been late 3 times in a row. We're going to suspend you. Are you kidding me? Come out of your office sometimes and walk around the hallways and see what these kids are doing. Why don't you walk in the classroom sometimes and see what these kids are doing? Why don't you get to know these kids? I know every kid on my campus. If I don't know their name, I know their face. Why? Because I care. I seen kids getting ready to get in fights before. I break it up before a fight can jump off. Oh, you sure you want to do this? You get kicked out of school for what? You go that way, you go that way. It don't require no write-up. It requires you to understand, hey, man, chill out. You have to be prepared for that. Some of these teachers, man, y'all got to look at when you were in school, you didn't like certain things your teacher did to you. Well, think about that when these kids are trying to learn. Some of these kids have disabilities. You got to get to know your students. When I was in school, I had a teacher. Her name was Mrs. Miss Kepper. Miss Kepper knew I had a reading disability. She knew I couldn't read. Like, I could read, but I just couldn't like quite do it the way I wanted to. She would stay after class until I read the whole passage. And I said, is that it? She was like, yeah. Tomorrow you're going to read in front of the class. And I would go home and I would read and read and read until I memorized it. So when I looked at it, I understood the words and everything that it was coming out of my mouth. You teachers nowadays are fake teachers. Fake. You went to school. Great. But you forgot what they taught you in school, how to get kids to want to learn. How is it I'm a bus driver and I can get kids to learn like that? Because I have a great rapport with them. You can't sit around and tell a kid anything's possible if you put your mind to it. What? No. Don't put your mind to it. Put your grind to it. You want to be an architect, an engineer, you have to grind for that. Yeah, you're going to have to read them books. Yeah, you're going to have to go try and put some stuff together. Yeah, it's going to fall apart, but then you're going to try again. Yeah, you got to have people that believe in you. They got to believe in you. Me, myself, 46 years old, going back to college, I'm scared as hell. But I got people that believe in me. I got to go. But you can't sit around and tell these kids, don't do this, don't do that, don't eat in the hallway. And you, a supervisor, you're eating in the hallway. Don't be drinking nothing in the hallway, but you're drinking in the hallway. I ain't talking about coffee. Don't have a hoodie on. All right, well, don't have weave in your hair then. Because that weave make you comfortable, the hoodie make a kid comfortable. Don't have weave in your hair. Because that's what it boils down to. It's a power trip sometimes. Now, if you wearing a hoodie and you falling asleep, like my son, I tell you straight up, my son puts the hoodie on and he's out for the count. What? Because my son had a sleeping disability. He had to go through what he had to go through. But now we done figured everything out. He's up. He's doing his work. He's focused. He's asking for extra credit work. But nobody took time out to figure it out in school. Well, what happens is we're so into the do it my way. Do it my way. My way's the best way. My way's the only way. Nah, man. Children want to learn. And when you got a kid arguing with a teacher, it's because they feel like you're not listening. So stop making these kids feel less than. Oh, Carter, you ain't scared to talk to people like that? I ain't scared to talk to nobody like nothing when it comes to children. Children have the right to learn. You got to teach them. You got to make them want to learn. Some kids don't learn by you just talking to them. Like I remember a long time ago, there was a white boy on YouTube, and he was going off on a teacher. And he said, man, sometimes kids don't learn by you talking to them. You got to get up and show them. You got to touch their freaking heart. And I believe that. I believe you got to touch their freaking heart. Kids should want to come to your class and learn. Yo, I'm going to such and such class because we finna learn about this today. Know what you should never hear? I can't stand that teacher, man. Every time I turn around, he don't do nothing but complain. It just saddens me sometimes. Like there's some teachers, like the math teacher my son and my daughter's got, like I got nothing but love for the guy. Because he really, really cares. He really cares. Can't say his name right now, but he really cares. The Spanish teacher, he really cares. There's a lot of them that really do care. You know what I'm saying? But then there's a lot of y'all who don't care if these kids make it or not. You don't care. You just want to get paid. So I'm gonna let that be what it is.